Gambit Gaming up into picks and bans. So smiles on the faces of both teams, actually. Draven banned away. Speaking of smiling,
whoa.
Freeze had a pretty big performance on that one. Nidalee banned out. Cassiopeia, they're going so quick.
Kalista first pick,
oh
Gambit coming in, because if you ban the Draven, you know Copenhagen Wolves want to play the Kalista. And we know Pinoy loves to play it as well. Question is, which picks will you now give up? Because Lissandra is not banned yet on this side. Now it could also be open. Okay, you can also just ban the Kalista and say we're not going to first pick it, we're not going to risk that. And we go completely different in terms of AD carries. Graves is suddenly now a very contested pick.
Two of these are the most commonly banned champions against Copenhagen Wolves. Not too surprised they go for that, but yeah, completely focusing on
happy
Freeze.
about that Rek'Sai ban.
I think so, yes. Let's see what he's got up his sleeves.
So Jarvan is left open now as the top jungler, with Rek'Sai and Nidalee being banned away with the double AD carry ban. We mentioned the Graves beforehand, Cassiopeia and the Kassadin. Of course, some target bans coming in there on their side, but this is a Gambit special. It is a pick they can play in every single lane for themselves, and we have already seen Capuchard do really well in the top lane on this Morgana, but of course Graves, as we mentioned as well.
Yeah, Freeze had a really solid game on Graves, 12, 2, and 12 versus Meet Your Makers last week. Airwalks now picked up the Jarvan pick. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer in that situation.
Best for him,
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, it makes the most sense. So it's just the strongest things they can get in this situation. But Gambit has a plan here.
They must have a plan, but I think Copenhagen Wolves will be very happy with the first few picks, because you saw again those double AD carry bans, and then you still get a Graves, which is considered a top tier AD carry here in Europe. So they don't really lose anything on those target bans from Gambit, and you get the best jungler for Airwax. He loves to play Jarvan. He's very aggressive early on, and he needs to be the main engage for the Copenhagen Wolves, as we see so often. He's one of the two shot callers, him and Unlimited. Airwax is the guy calling the team fights, so for him to be the guy starting it is perfect for them. And that also really pays off them with the two jungle bans, because now suddenly Diamond is going to go for the Lee Sin, or we're going to see something completely different. He could go back to the Sejuani, maybe from the I Am Cologne times.
We will see. He's got some time to decide as the timer ticks down for Gambit Gaming. They do lock in the Zed for Betsy and the Tristana for Pinoy.
Okay, Tristana.
Haven't seen these players on these champions.
No, but Tristana is a champion after the changes. There were some mixed opinions from the AD carries, but most of them said she's pretty strong. Earlier in the laning, or weaker in the laning phase now, compared to before, because you lost quite a lot of damage, especially on your E as well. Now you need to get those few hits after the bomb has been activated. But because the E is now physical in terms of the ratio and the damage, unless it's the explosive, or when you kill the minions, the passive formers. Yes. But that actually makes her stronger in the mid game, and she's still fantastic in the late game despite losing some range for her, and she can push towers down really easily. Yeah,
and so can Zed too. I mean, I'm curious to see how Betsy does on this champion. We've only seen him play 2 games, obviously. His Ahri, though, is devastating. And, ooh, well, there's a hover. Yeah, Copenhagen Wolves, they've also grabbed the Annie support, too, for Unlimited.
Yeah.
I think the Annie Graves is pretty solid. Remember, this is, by the way, this is patch 5.3, so I thought for a moment, until the Thresh started being hovered, I thought we might see the Veigar support. It's a possibility.
We can still see it.
The Morgana can go anywhere.
However, normally when we do see it, it is in like these poke competitions.
That's true. This is not exactly what they would want to have as an optimal setup here, but they have a lot of choices as the time goes down. There is your Sejuani, and they lock in the Kennen too, so we have a support Morgana this time around.
Support Morgana. Gambit did the same thing last week, where they early picked the Morgana and then last picked the Kennen and simply just swapped them around. And they love to pick these very skirmish-focused champions who can do really well on their own. We know they have multiple carries on the team. Gambit is one of those where you don't say, okay, this guy is going to win the game for you. No, Betsy can carry a game. Pinoy can carry a game. Capuchard can carry. Diamond has carried multiple games. Even Eddie is a support. We used to say he was a big playmaker. So you have 5 players on Gambit's side.
It was called Edward Carey.
It was called a lot of things, but
yes,
that was
one of them.
And it simply means when you play all these champions who can do so well in terms of one-on-oneing, but also together in a team fight, it creates a very, very hard to play playstyle from Gambit's side. So it's very hard for the other team to figure out exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, and the scary thing here for Copenhagen Wolves is how much Gambit Gaming's older players especially have been stepping up. Diamond and Edward in particular have just looked so good in their wins. It is very, very scary to go up against them. So Copenhagen Wolves, they're going to lock in the Maokai pickup. Okay. They have built themselves a decent front line here between that and the Jarvan. But they have a very, very explosive amount of damage as well. So if they do catch members of Gambit out in these skirmishes, they could go either way.
Yeah, but Copenhagen Wolves is going to be all about 5-on-5 team fighting. massive front line in terms of Jarvan and Maokai. Good engage coming from them as well, and the Annie. And then you have this burst damage from the Ahri and the Graves, so the mid game is going to be very strong in terms of that. And you have also the late game scaling of a Maokai. So Copenhagen Wolves are looking like full-on 5-on-5 team fights where Gambit have more options. They can split up the map in the 1-3-1 with the Z with the cannon on their side and look for picks and split pushing instead of pure team fighting. But even if they do get in a fight itself, because they have the likes of Kennen and Sejuani, that's a massive AoE combo there in terms of CC and damage they can provide. And then, of course, a Morgana ulti. If Copenhagen Wolves group up together, a lot of people are going to get CC'd.
Yeah, that could be some dangerous stuff there. You see Leviathan.
Oh,
and the button heads right here. Dentist and Leviathan.
You saw it on the analyst desk as well here.
Begin, yeah. There we go. That is some serious coach camaraderie right there. Good stuff to see.
We saw it on the analyst desk. They were talking about who was going to win the game. Nobody really wants
serious
to beat the other one. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
it's going to be an important one. Important one. Two teams on winning streaks. Nobody expects them to be where they are at the moment in the standings, and they want to go even further.
Oh, yeah. And as we load into the game, let us know who you think is going to keep that win streak alive. Tweet us at LLL Esports. Use that hashtag GMBWin or CWWin. We're going to add those results up in game, but this is the big match of the day. Gambit versus the Copenhagen Wolves.
Damn, we see Eddie again. He's doing this boot start on Morgana for himself, so he has a bit more roaming pressure, a bit weaker in the laning phase itself. But again, this match here, who's going to break the other team's winning streak? It's going to be exciting to see.
Oh, yes, indeed. As to Edward, he's got his walking shoes on. It looks like we are going to get this one underway. But before we do, we want to hear what Pinoy actually has to say. We talked a lot about Diamond. Let's see what his words are.
Like, it's pretty insane because like 2 years ago I was looking up to this guy and he's like a super talented guy, and it's like it's a dream coming true that I finally get to work and play with him. And he just brings a lot of experience from his past season and just overall, because he knows how it is to be in the LCS. He knows how it is to lose and how to handle losses, how to you win games and then you.
Sorry, we got to cut you off there. Pinoy Unlimited's caught up in a little bit of trouble. Okay, he's back. We'll get back to him.
Oh, close call. Anyway, so for Pinoy here, of course, I mean, it goes for both Diamond and Eddie on Gambit side. They've been here since the Moscow 5 days. They've played so many different tournaments. They've been in the LCS since the start. And yes, the amount of experience they can bring, especially to the likes of Pinoy, who's new to the professional scene, Betsy coming in as a replacement for Nick. There's all these young guys here who can learn so much from both Eddie and Diamond. That's important for Gambit.
Yeah, goes on to just say how big it is with looking up to this player and going forward in this game.
Thank you, Diamond, for being the first guy to walk in and just stop this Maokai level 2. The ward was placed. He cleared a lot of saplings. Jambok is still staying there. He might just gonna go for the small minions and then back away from the camp itself and get some XP. Yeah, that'll still go back to his lane.
Oh, Eddie's gonna catch Freeze with the Dark Binding.
All right, so we did see Jambok just take the small one after Diamond was so rude to destroy the party. Big Raptor is alive, just watching all these poor kids getting taken away from them.
Terrible feeling, man.
We've all been there,
serious
right, Pyra? All our kids.
Oh boy. Anyways, Pinoy and Edward. Edward's a little bit low in this lane right now, so a late to lane. Speaking of his Cabo Shard, he's going to go ahead and spend that teleport to make his way up top after helping out with the Krug camp.
So Copenhagen Wolves get 2-2 lanes. Graves Annie is a fantastic lane itself, and remember Tristana, after the changes, her early game is a lot weaker than it used to be. So there's going to be a bit of a tough matchup for Gambit's bottom lane. And also with Eddie starting these boots here, that is meant for lane swapping so you can roam around. The 2-2 lane, however, you don't have any combat stats now. You don't have any goal per 10 either from him. So that's going to be tricky. And we see Copenhagen was already pushing down this lane.
Yeah, Pinoy and Edward really battered and bruised in this one, trying to push their way back in. They will get a little stronger as the game goes on. Airwalk's hanging around in the bottom side as he clears out that blue buff. See if he decides to make a trip down to that lane. It's already very pushed, though.
He's fairly healthy, though, for his first clear. Often we see Jarvan players do the 3 camps, then you do the Skull Trap, and then either go and do another camp before the recall for extra wards. We see Airwax moving towards. At least going to see if there's anything needed. Raptors always plays the deep wards on his own. Then he can go back to base. But it's often the thing we see with these Maokai Jarvan players. They don't gank before being back for the Trailblazer. Instead, though, Airwax going for Betsy.
He's going to be able
running away
to Shadow Step away from danger as Airwalks reveals himself. So Fairly even lane in this middle. Ahri versus Zed. Always a fun one to watch, but we've had a lot of quiet mid matchups today, Deficio.
Yeah, very explosive skill matchup in here. Eric's actually basically controlling the river on both sides of the mid lane. This is going to be very important for the Copenhagen Wolves to see what's going on, and for him obviously to get some extra gold before he goes back on the first time. So he's going to be able to get his Trailblazer and plenty of wards for himself if he wants to. And obviously, yeah, the Ahri Zed, you talked about it. Skill matchup. A lot of people would argue slightly in favor of Zed early on, and then what Ahri can do is go for her arm guards, get a blue buff, and then she can start taking over the lane here. But we're gonna have to see what happens. Pinoy, he's the guy in trouble.
Yeah, the Graves Annie definitely favored in this early game, and Pinoy especially by himself can't really push this one back. Freeze is dashing in forward, just punishing him, and this is a Tristana. The early game you mentioned, even weaker here, has a potential to scale well into the late game, but Copenhagen Wolves aren't keen on letting that happen.
Well, again, for Wolves, they do have the Maokai for late game, but of course you have to worry about both Kennen and Tristana in that stage. So yeah, both teams have some sort of scaling on their hand. But for the Wolves, the mid game is definitely powerful with the Graves Ahri combo and this fantastic front line they're going to be building up with both Airwax and Youngbuck. First gank, we talked about this before the game. Focus for Airwax is so often on the top lane to make sure Youngbuck has a good time in the laning phase. He's sitting right here. He's going to force a flash.
Yep, he is indeed, and he's going to have the lightning rush. Here it comes. Youngbuck Cabochard in some serious trouble. He's not using it. There we go. The flash to avoid the sapling damage, and they do get that first summon.
See it again and again. Both these two top laners, they want to get to that first item, the Rod of Ages for the Maokai, and of course the Hourglass coming in for Kennen. So important for these first team fights, otherwise you can't just get blown up, especially by the likes of Graves Ahri on the side of Copenhagen. Also, I like the focus, try to deny Cabochard a little bit. He's one of the main carries for Gambit as well, with his fantastic strong laning phase and ability to simply snowball out of control.
Very even in the start of this game. Pinoy is still taking a lot of abuse. This time it was coming from the form of unlimited dodges out the Dark Binding. 45 to 39, not the worst CS line as a Tristana, but you've got to be careful not to get caught. They get the double stun. The heal comes out, Freeze exhaust down immediately, and they land the Dark Binding. Pinoy should be all right, but he's going to have to back the base.
Gambit saved the flashes here. Used the two defensive summoners, unlimited, flashing in for the stun himself. But again, the pressure, Copenhagen Wolves, they have it, so they can control the lane, and you don't need your jungler to come help because you're already winning your lane on your own, so he can focus elsewhere. The pink ward has been placed by Airwax, getting a few more green wards down as well. This is a smart one. It's actually where he's recalling now. That's where the pink ward is placed. It's not a bush you normally check if you're running around in your own jungle, so that might give a lot of information for the Copenhagen Wolves.
Yeah, take a look at that fan vote. Gambit really winning out there with the fans. I guess 70% of the fans are not necessarily big fans of Pulsa, Deficio.
Nope, sadly, Pulsa is delicious.
So I've heard.
Russian Pulsa is pretty good too, though.
Oh, okay. Speaking of Diamond, making his moves in the jungle. A lot of wards setting him out here. The Copenhagen Wolves want to make sure they have tabs on him at all times. He can be pretty devastating once he gets going.
For sure, and again, 3 deep wards from Copenhagen Wolves on that side. So your 2 soul laners, they should be safe. And they just pinged out Diamond beforehand. Didn't manage to pull off any gank. You don't have to on the Citrani. You want to get to your level 6 point anyway. And you're more about team fighting than ganking itself, because you don't really add that much damage to the gank, but your CC and the tankiness you will get once you go for this Juggernaut as well on him is going to be absolutely amazing for Gambit later on.
Well, and with a jungler like Diamond, who just is so innovative in everything that he does, it's so hard to predict where he's going to be in particular. But I think this time Copenhagen Wolves have been quite safe in what they're doing.
And this is a little problem for Gambit. They haven't been able to control the rivers. So there's so much extra gold and vision coming for Copenhagen Wolves now with Airwax on this job. And he's just basically been farming them every single time he could. And that's a lot of extra income for him. And again, into the jungle of Gambit. You have full wards, you can see everything. You don't have to worry. Steal away another camp from Diamond.
Indeed, they have been just trying to make off like bandits with all that. Meanwhile, mid lane still a little bit quiet. Some poke traded back and forth. Airwalk's making moves.
Top lane again.
Yeah, he's going to keep focusing on Cabochard. He's got no flash available. Immediately twisted advancing. Cabochard going down. That's first blood on a dunk. Double time for Youngbuck and Airwalks.
Go back to the pick and ban phase. Nidalee was banned, Rek'Sai was banned by Copenhagen Wolves. First pick by Gambit, came in, that was going to be the Morgana for them. Suddenly Jarvan was picked by Copenhagen Wolves, and there was no real pick left for Diamond to take that could challenge that in the early game. We haven't seen the Lee Sin for him in quite a while, honestly. And this simply meant that Copenhagen Wolves can win this fight top lane 2-2 situation. Airwax has been so active there. It's going to be a fairly good start for them, and really trying to shut down the cannon, delaying the hourglass for him. Obviously he wants the scepter, but second item.
Yeah,
delayed.
he's going to go ahead and pick up a few pieces. But yeah, Cabochard, I mean, as squishy as he is, it's because they've been abusing that fact. They've been able to pick him up and, you know, burn to summoner first. It's still not quite off of cooldown, and he doesn't spend his teleport to get back to lane, keeping that one in case Copenhagen Wolves want to try a dragon.
But all this simply means that the first dragon fight we're going to see will be in favor of the Copenhagen Wolves. They're getting a kill now.
Yep.
I mean, they're just playing it so well early on, so whenever they want to start the first dragon, they will be stronger. The cannon will not be able to dive in onto them. They're going straight for it now as well with this first, or with the second kill, obviously onto Eddie. So this is going to be a first free one. But the mid game, it's going to belong to them. As long as they can keep placing down these aggressive wards here, they can keep finding the right ganks. And this Zed suddenly will never get to a point where he can start split pushing, because his team will then just get engaged on and they will be weaker in potential fights. So they're really shutting down a lot of things by playing so well early on and having Airwax pick the right lanes, or the right lane in this case we can say, to gank. Another one for him as well, more gold.
Yep, more gold in their pockets, a dragon as well. So Gambit Gaming down 0-2 on the kill score. A little bit of gold, about 1,500 down on the Copenhagen Wolves. Are looking to set themselves up a powerful mid game, which they already are going to have by virtue of those compositions.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic for them, especially when your Maokai gets snowballed as well. And the Sejuani has simply not been paying off for Diamond yet. He's too weak early on to really go for any big fights. And that's what, as we mentioned before, Copenhagen will have taken full advantage of.
It's going to be hanging out
Yes.
mid lane. See if
he has
can make
ulti
something
now.
happen on Soren. Betsy's going to try to bait this out.
It's going to be a tricky one, especially because the lane is pushing as well. Soren has no real reason to try and go aggressive unless a charm connects.
They know Unlimited's coming though.
Unlimited, yeah. Look at the pink ward, set up. It's not spotted. This might actually end up pretty bad for Gambit.
Diamond is going to bail out, finds Airwalks. Okay, that's going to get cleared away. Immediate use of the Raptor Smite.
All roaming down.
Young Buck. Yeah, that's when you dash away.
Simply roaming from two different lanes at once and having your jungler nearby means that Gambit have to back away. And this river, all early game long, has belonged to the Copenhagen Wolves, making every single lane super safe, making it near impossible for Diamond to pull off any ganks.
It's been difficult, certainly. Betsy taking quite a lot of damage. The Foxfire is helping out with that one. Airwalks continues to go in to the Gambit jungle and come right on out completely unscathed. Diamond, as you mentioned, just hasn't had that big of an impact right now, and Copenhagen Wolves, as a result, looking to push down this middle. He's there to defend it, but what can he do?
And again, this is full credit to Copenhagen Wolves and how they play the early game. You see Airwax put focus on these scuttle crabs to get that vision down for himself and the team, and the deep wards. He did a very long clear. He stayed around, got the first gang off the Hunter's Machete as well, went back to do a Raptor camp, so he had enough gold when he went back to get pink ward, to get a green ward, and then simply just walk in and place them very deep inside the Gambit jungle. So just a very well played early game by the Copenhagen Wolves.
Diamond not quite going back just yet. He's got that quick sight stone after he finishes the hatchet. Doesn't get the enchant just yet. So up in the top lane, Cabochard still feeling like he can poke his head out and deal a little more damage to Youngbuck, but he has been, I would say, cowed a little bit just by the constant threat of Airwax.
For sure, he's been locked down and delayed quite a lot. And Youngbuck got a kill. Might be going for Righteous Glory, seeing as he got that early MR as well. So not just rushing straight for that Rod of Ages. So it could be the item for him, which basically means you're going to have that extra ability to engage the fights. And Betsy now, he's going to find Airwax.
Oh,
see what happens top.
Youngbuck could be in trouble himself. Cabochard, Betsy double timing it up. He's going to twist the advance on. Airwax is thinking about it, but it might be a little bit too late. They pick him up. Betsy is able to come up with that one. Airwax couldn't quite get there in time, but now he's going to try for the revenge dunk on to take out Cabochard. It is a 1-for-2 double kill. However, going over to Betsy, he's looking to bail out. Doesn't want to fight a full health Soren.
I didn't see where Airwax used his flag first, but he clearly didn't have it ready for the fight itself. He just put in the Q, couldn't really join it, and therefore Youngbuck ends up dying first, and then in the end, trading a 2-for-1 for Gambit. So they got an important kill. Roam from Betsy, 2 kills on Zed. We talked about how he was shut down beforehand, or I wouldn't really be ready. So actually just got told that Airwax had his flag for the entire fight. He just didn't feel like he wanted to go in, and then realized after he should have, and then he came in too late and ended up dying as well. Bit of a misplay by Airwax.
Yeah, Kabashard though, he's really been the punching bag for Copenhagen Wolves this game, and no fault of his own, really. They just keep focusing extensively on trying to keep him down. He does have the Abyssal Scepter. Let's take a look at how that craziness happened.
So again, right here, Airwax, he thinks that Youngbuck is done, like he's toast. I'm not going to go in and try and kill myself, but he realizes the amount of damage coming from the Maokai early, and of course himself with his red buff, the Warrior enchant, and then he actually ends up going in after. Yes, he gets a kill, but this could have been turned around earlier by the Copenhagen Wolves.
I agree. I think it was a misplay here, and giving Betsy 2 kills is not always advisable. 2-0-0 on that.
I think you want to avoid it normally.
Yeah. But even with the Zani's Hourglass completed on Soren, it's going to give him a little bit of a rougher time. They're not exactly laning it up anymore, so Soren's going to be moving over, taking this blue buff. Meanwhile, you've got Pinoy in the mid lane. So Gambit's starting to rove around a little bit more and see if they can grab some vision back. And Betsy! Oh, just like a ninja.
And remember, this guy, he's only played 3 games in the LCS.
He's looking pretty good, man.
And yet, he's the guy making the plays, and now Youngbuck again, he's in trouble.
Yeah, he runs into 3 members of Gambit. Kabashard, he'd only bargained for 1, and it looks like he is going to go down, but Kabashard a little bit low. He needed that kill. Gets 1 back for himself.
So we saw Copenhagen Wolves gank the top lane early. Gambit has now managed to respond. First the roam from Betsy, then we saw Diamond and Eddie go there up as well. Get the few kills, at least one of them for Kabashard himself. Dragon is not up, 30 seconds. No teleport for Youngbuck, same goes for Kabashard. So he's going to have to recall once he pushes in this wave and then walk down to the Dragon, and he needs that ulti ready before the fight starts. So that opens up for Copenhagen Wolves to just take the Dragon.
Well, indeed. Eddie's going to be in a little bit of trouble here, and they blow him up. Collateral damage, I would say not even needed.
Perfect play, though, by Copenhagen Wolves around the Dragon. Pink wards are there, so you know you're not spotted. You can just set up a trap with the Ahri, with the Annie. You have deep wards inside the enemy jungle. There's no way Gambit can contest anything. And as we just saw here, if you try and walk in and ward, well, you're going to get a Tibbers and a Charm, and you're going to die.
Yeah, insta-give is the word. And this Dragon should be going over to the Copenhagen Wolves. A little slow response. Yeah, they are going to try to maybe force something off of this. No, can't quite do it in time. Everyone's going to be bailing out. So 2 Dragons to none. Copenhagen Wolves not too far ahead in the gold lead, even on the towers, but those Dragons are certainly going to be helping them out.
Always a good win condition, especially because it's a thing Gambit has liked to do. While they do say, as a team, they don't really care about the Dragon early on. They don't want to sacrifice any gold to try and get it or risk a bad team fight. They will take it if it's for free, of course. But then they care more about it late game, because it often becomes a win condition for them. They do well early on, they get 3 Dragons, maybe to 0, and they just wait for the 5th one before they finish the game. That won't be possible in this game, because the Copenhagen Wolves have been playing so well early on. And even when Youngbuck died in the top lane, they went straight to the Dragon, warded it off completely, and said, okay, we're going to take this one. Yes, you get a kill now, top laner, but we get the 2nd Dragon.
Yeah. And Youngbuck as a player has really been stepping up lately. In the last couple of games, the win streak that they have found themselves on, he's been playing not just well solo, they've combined well with Airwalks, they've put a lot of pressure on this top side, and it's really trusting the other lanes to be able to do quite well, and it's worked out well in their favor, even with their favorite picks banned away. Look at this. They're going to try to bait this one out, but Youngbuck's a little too smart for this right now. So
both teams trying to make a play on the side lanes. Gambit is going for the top one. They should get this tower for free. Same goes for the bottom lane now for Copenhagen Wolves. So they can trade the 2 towers, and both just trying to create some roaming plays. We often see this when you have fairly standard laning, I guess we can say. In order to really break into the outer turrets, you've got to roam around, you've got to recall and create that numbers advantage in the lane. Copenhagen Wolves got the bottom lane, Gambit got the top side.
Yep, Diamond wanted to move in, but he realized there was going to be a problem there.
And because Gambit did it first, moved in and got the tower, they can actually go mid now, put some pressure there, get some damage on it before Copenhagen Wolves should be able to react. Instead, though, they focus on getting a few wards down and a red buff for themselves.
Yeah, stealing that one away. They've got Freeze there to defend. Diamond's actually going to find Airwalks in the jungle. Pinoy just rocket jumps his way in, and Diamond grabs a quick kill with the help of his AD carry.
He's caught a little bit, despite having a lot of wards in that jungle. Now 5 guys in the mid lane. Remember Tristana, she can put an E on the tower now, hit it 4 times, it will explode, and it will do a lot of damage. You're going to see it here. So these towers, once Tristana gets to them, they will die really, really fast.
Gets blown up. They've got quite a lot
Good play.
Siege potential. Yeah, really, really nicely done from Gambit Gaming. So they grab themselves a slight tower advantage there, a little bit of a gold edge. Still those 2 dragons, if they can get back more, if they can stall this game out to the later edges of the game and start securing more map control, they look to be in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. Pinoy, though, not been able to get any kills and has fallen behind in farm to freeze, which is expected when you have a lane, when you have a Tristana lane into a grave. But I just really like the play. You make the proactive roams first from Gambit's side, and you don't look for the kill. You just walk into the lane, push down the tower, and then you can see how Copenhagen Wolves are behind you, or step behind in terms of killing the bot lane one. So you just roam around to this mid lane while you ward on the way. Just a good little play by Gambit to get some gold.
Yeah, fair amount of vision from both teams, too, to try to make sure they keep tabs on just about everything they can. Gambit covering quite a lot of that topside jungle and the outer edges of the river. And now the wards that Copenhagen Wolves have put on the opposite number down in the bottom near Gambit's red buff have expired. They're going to push on this top, half its health, and no one there to defend it just yet. Should be an easy take.
And we just see 2 teams thinking alike, basically. They're saying, okay, where's the next outer turret? Where's our focus? Where are we going to send most of our players? Okay, that's now going to be our strong side. So we go up there and we feel confident just walking down the lane, taking a tower. Before, it was Gambit in the top side, now Copenhagen Wolves get it. Trading outer turrets for both the teams and playing somewhat the same style of how to move on the map. You see how they're always going 2 or 3 guys when they take a tower. It's never just one guy pushing up on his own. No, it's multiple members at once, creating that numbers advantage.
Gambit here roving around together, but so are the Wolves, sticking in the pack, trying to contest this blue buff. Betsy was able to steal it once. I don't think he's going to be quite so lucky again. Really turning it around in his head. And Unlimited. Oh, he shadow steps, but he's still got the timbers on his head. Goes in for Unlimited with the death mark, but get blown up in a shower of fireworks from the Copenhagen Wolves.
Copenhagen was expecting to steal or the attempt this time.
Not this time.
Unlimited is flashing the wall. Timbers in your face. Quick little kill from this will give them the map pressure, with Betsy being dead and allowing them to push out the waves now. Get down a few of their own wards. Which really is going to be the name of the game here for both the teams. Because Gambit, they want to try and use Betsy to split push and capo shot at the same time. But in order to do that, they need to be able to see where the Copenhagen Wolves are, so they don't suddenly get hard engaged on in the mid lane onto the 3 guys, ends up dying, and then they have to back away anyway. So they always need to have wards around where they're sending at least Pinoy, so you can push in. Because if you ward the flanks from Tristana, and you have the pressure in the side lane, then you will have openings where you can get hits on the tower. We talked about how you can put the E on them now with the bomb, and you can really poke
Instant
down.
wave clear. Yeah.
Really poke down those towers.
There's no threat. You have to go and try to dive, but it's so hard on the Tristana with the rocket jump available. You saw able to bail out of the Krugs at the last second. So Gambit don't lose anything in that situation. Starting to grab a little bit more river control. Dragon's less than a minute away now. So this is the time for a Diamond going pretty deep in this jungle. Actually going to find Freeze, and he's not going to do anything about it. Oh, wow, that was a max range binding.
Freeze is sitting on 1,300 gold. He wants his Ghost Blade before this Dragon fight. That's going to mean he's going to be a bit late, spawning in about 20 seconds. And this time around, Gambit is there first. They're the ones setting up the vision. It's very defensive at first, but then you suddenly see the wards placed behind as well. Just couldn't see it for the Copenhagen Wolves guys.
Yeah.
That jungle, the blue buff from the Wolves, is completely warded by Gambit. As long as they sit ready, which they don't.
Yeah,
the
Copenhagen
headset
Wolves
ready,
walking in here, like,
they would have
no
basically
problem.
forced the Wolves to face check into a binding and then get in a pretty risky team fight where suddenly Youngbuck had to teleport down while the fight was already on and he might be joining in late. Instead, they actually allowed the Wolves to just move in and play some of the wards.
Yeah, they
don't see a fight anyway, though.
Yeah, the fight's going to happen. There's double teleports coming in right now. And there is Diamond with the ultimate. They're going to look for the fight here. Soul Shackles is out. Here comes Cabo Shard right into the middle. Finds Unlimited for a quick pickup. Betsy is going to get another one. Actually goes over to Pinoy. Youngbuck going to get blown up. A double kill going to Pinoy. That time, they make them pay dearly for their dragon.
Yeah, Cabochard, he's managed to get his hourglass completed for the fight. Oh, Pinoy on the Soren.
It's not over yet.
Yeah, well,
Pinoy getting blown up
Pinoy.
by Freeze. Oh, my goodness. It actually goes over to Soren that time. Still, in all of that craziness, Gambit looking to grab another tower. There's really nothing left in the tank here for Freeze, and it's going down.
It almost looked like a trap from Gambit. They set up all these wards here, and you would expect them to sit ready and catch out Copenhagen Wolves if they were moving to the Dragon. But they just backed away. They allowed the Wolves to walk in. They let them start the Dragon, and then they teleport behind with Capo Shot, and they start the whole fight. Let's see it again. They're now stuck 4 guys together around this Dragon. 2 TPs coming. Good ulti from Diamond on Unlimited and Airwax, and now 5 men together. Cabochard flashing in on this cannon with his ulti. Betsy as well coming from the side. He's untouched at this point. Pinoy as well. Every single carry was just left on his own from Gambit because of this great engage. And of course the Outlast being completed by Cabochard in time.
I do want to note, though, that the big carries did get away in that situation, but, you know, when your front line's melting that fast, it may not be that much good for the team fight. So Gambit, they take the better one, they take the better engage, but still, it's 3 dragons to 0. The Wolves, though they're down about 2,000 gold, are not looking too shabby still.
No, you always have that 5th dragon in mind now for the Copenhagen Wolves, but if we get another fight like that one, then Gambit is going to get very far ahead in gold, and then they will be able to pick up dragons and stop that 5th one from the Wolves. Pinoy, 2 items for him, but more importantly is Cabochard on this cannon, and that engage from him in the last team fight was so important, although we can say the follow-up after Diamonds engage first.
Yeah, he's starting to get a little bit scary on that Tristana. Picks up the Wrath Elixir for later use as well. His positioning has been particularly good. I liked how he, in that fight, he jumps into the back of the Dragon Pit and just starts lobbing his E and then just basically pecking away, exactly what he needed to do.
Yeah, Wolves have a comp where they need to be the one engaging onto Gambit because you don't really have a lot of peel coming in. You need like aggressive form of CC to peel, but Betsy might be in trouble. Diamond's here.
Yep, Diamond is going to be making something happen as Betsy is able to move away. The Death Mark dealing some damage to Soren. Diamond chases him off. And what looked like a really bad situation for Betsy turns into no kills so far. Gambit on the chase.
Jumping the wall.
Oh,
big
doesn't have his
Poro.
ultimate though. Black Shield on. How fast is the Poro? Eddie not going to connect the Dark Binding on but a minion, but Unlimited could be in some trouble. Pinoy now joining the fray. Charmed up for just a second, and Unlimited is going down to Diamond. A long chase.
We do see a cross-map objective here from Copenhagen Wolves. It's the thing to do really well when they see too many guys in one lane. They start pushing down in the next one. But Cabochard, he's defending this really well on his own. And the top lane wasn't pushed in time, so there was no pressure from Yombok in this case. And Gambit get a kill, might even get more.
Oh, they're coming in. Yeah, that heal burned immediately. Airwalk's in some trouble. He's going to flag and drag his way over the wall. Gambit, yeah, in a 1v2, Cabochard throws down the Slicing Maelstrom, is able to push them away. The Wolves, I mean, they had the right idea, but they couldn't execute it.
No, yeah, the problem here for the Wolves were they were making a play in the bottom lane while the mid lane and top lane weren't in a position to really punish Gambit if they did send 4 guys to the bottom side. We saw how Freeze had to push in the mid lane. We saw how Yombok was trying to push the top lane, but it was way too early. So once Gambit showed 4 guys, there was no tower to be taken for the Wolves to punish them for sending 4 guys to get a kill. And therefore Gambit managed to read the map correctly and obviously read the minion waves and say, we can go for this one and we won't lose anything.
Calculated risk from Gambit Gaming. 3,000 gold in the lead. Next Dragon is about 2 minutes on its way. We'll see what happens then.
And again, just to talk about the Copenhagen Wolves comp, I said before, they need to be the one engaging. They do have a lot of peel, like through like Maokai, Jarvan itself, but in order for them to really peel the fights, it's by them jumping onto Gambit first, jumping onto the backline, locking them down. So now the damage is suddenly gone and your carries are free to do whatever they want. If you get engaged on like we saw before, they won't be able to do it.
Just like that, engaged on. Betsy immediately throws down the Death Mark. Freeze, half his health is gone in the blink of an eye, but Gambit have turned this one around and Airwalk trapped in his own pit, going down to Eddie.
Brutal, man.
And that has just not been a good day for Airwalks. He's had some serious counter ganks.
Yeah, he's been punished a few times for going in. He's the guy who loves to make the calls for Copenhagen Wolves starting fights, but this is straight to Baron. Freeze was back in base. They're very
There's 19 seconds on a smite.
No smite.
Youngbuck is going to have to play the hero right now. He's certainly going to try. Are they going to ignore him? No, here's Unlimited. He's still trying to make this happen. The Baron is the 5th member instead, since Airwalks is already down. Diamond in trouble. Oh, they take it down. It's picked up by Pinoy, however. They didn't quite need that one. And Soren, oh so low. Gambit Gaming should be able to find that one picked up. Oh my goodness, a double kill over to Pinoy. The Baron to boot. Gambit just making the outplay.
Such a decisive call from Gambit here. Engage from Airwax, they punish it, they kill him. There's no TP coming in from Yombok, so there's no real extra engage or follow-up from the Copenhagen Wolves, and then straight to this Baron instantly. So on the Baron itself, Copenhagen Wolves, they want to try and fight and stop it. You can see how Soren comes in now in the bottom of your screen. He wants to kill Diamond to get rid of the smite. But if you look at the minimap, Freeze is so far away, so there's not really any damage as soon as the exhaust comes down on Soren, and he's unable to get a kill as well. Gambit, Baron, more kills for them. Great goal lead.
Yep. Gambit just able to outplay, and the confusion that they created after that and the decisiveness. It's netted them that Baron. It's netted them a fight. It's going to get them their first dragon here. A ring of wards. There's no chance. Copenhagen Wolves, even if they were in the area, they would not go undetected whatsoever. So just like that, Gambit have picked themselves up a serious lead in this game.
And then now again for Gambit, when you have Tristana, even if you don't have a siege comp, even with a Z, you can honestly, you can go 5 guys together, go up to tower with your Baron buff, and just get 2 or 3 hits on the tower every time with the E from Tristana, and it will start dropping down. It's not the best way to play it, especially not when you have the Z, when you have the Kennen, who can all split out in different lanes, and you can have multiple waves with Baron buff minions pushing in, which should be the tactic for Gambit, and just keep Pinoy in the mid lane to go for this tower here. Only thing you have to worry about is the potential hard engage from the Copenhagen Wolves. So as long as every lane is pushed up and you can see them sit back and defend, then you know if they go for the mid lane, we should be able to take a tower in either top or bot lane.
Yeah, and I want to go back to your point. You talked about how the Wolves, when they take fights on their own terms, that's when they really find it. It seemed like Gambit was kind of the same way, but they're being able to turn these around and see if they can do it again. Edward's going to get dunked on by Airwalks. However, Kabashard's the one answering back the kill. Youngbuck trying to tank everything up, but Pinoy is going to punish him, knocks him back, and takes him down.
So the Wolves trying to look for a pick. Instantly, Gambit is nearby. They have all these wards placed in the jungle so they could see the engage happen. Straight back to push at least 2 lanes at once with the Baron buff minions. And now, Tristana on a tower. This is what she likes.
Yeah, the tower's not going to win in that situation.
And boom, look at that.
So much damage.
That's it.
Diamond's going to get charmed up, but there's no way they can
How long did
through.
it take him? 2 seconds? 2.5?
I wasn't even counting, but probably at this point. And meanwhile, in the mid lane, oh yeah, you know, Zed's pretty good at that too, actually. So Copenhagen Wolves not able to respond. Another tower down bot. It's going to get popped in just a moment. Oh, Diamond is charmed up. He might give his life for the effort. Meanwhile, the inhibitor, they're just dragging the Wolves everywhere. Diamond actually gets away as they take down the inhibitor in the middle. The Wolves are just stretched everywhere.
Youngbuck teleporting behind though. Copenhagen Wolves, they want to try and fight.
Yeah, this could be the flank. Youngbuck's going to try to make it happen. The
They're
rocket jump on the expend. Oh, Pinoy could be in some trouble. They throw down the Tivers on him, and they've got so many members. Kaboom!
Gambit,
and Pinoy is down.
Gambit is the team where you sacrifice your AD carry. Everyone else runs away. Pinoy said, oh, fine, I'm just going to jump in. Everyone, come and kill me, whatever.
Who needs KDA, man? I mean, they've got themselves an inhibitor in the middle. They took out the inhibitor turret in the bottom side.
Great use of Baron.
Yeah, excellent use as it goes away now. They've got 1 dragon to the 3, but they're still in very much control of this map.
And that all started from what we mentioned, how Gambit can push up the lanes at once with this 1-3-1. Bot lane and mid lane were both pushed up. Their deep wards down, so once the engage came in from Copenhagen was to try and create a pick. Not the teleport from Youngbuck, but before that, Gambit had enough guys nearby to instantly collapse on it, get 2 kills for themselves, and then start pushing up 2 lanes at once. And as we saw, Tristana, it takes her 2.5 seconds at max. And when the bomb explodes, so does the tower.
Does indeed. 7 towers to 3 is that scoreline right now. Gambit just absolutely blitzing down the Copenhagen Wolves lanes. Struggling to respond here. They have a naked inhibitor on the bottom. Super minions pushing in the mid. Still controlling that dragon pit. Still going to be a while before that dragon does come up, however. And they got 2 split pushing threats when you think about it, because it's, of all the AD carries, again, Tristana's a fairly safe one. They've been grouping up a little bit. So, you know, a couple members here, a few members in the mid. Betsy, a very, very scary threat on the Zed in any sort of skirmish situation. And Gambit, they've just been collapsing so well when the Wolves do try to take a fight. And it's hard to fight back.
They simply never allowed Copenhagen Wolves to get the big 5-on-5 engage. With their massive front line going in first, the Tibbers coming, which leaves Soren and Freeze safe to have all this burst damage. And because that opening was never there for the Wolves, with always Gambit starting the fights, that's really been one of the big things for them. We have to praise every single member, honestly. Yes, early game they fell behind, but in terms of team fighting and the mid to late game, it's been near flawless for them. They've been playing around the vision so well and also pushing in these lanes at the same time, knowing how fast they can take down objectives.
And knowing how mobile they really are, considering that Copenhagen Wolves are the ones with the 3rd dragon buff. Gambit are really giving them the runaround. Looking to take out this inhibitor up here. Wolves trying to wave clear best they can, just testing the waters. It's a game of chicken with Gambit.
Gambit doesn't really need to take this inhibitor here. They could just go top lane and have the mid lane pushing in with super minions, but they really want this second one down so they can go for the Baron in 1 minute and 20 seconds with super minions in the bottom side. That's why the focus is here.
So much
Copenhagen
range
Wolves are
on
looking to try and
Tristana.
fight. Yeah, sure.
They don't even, and look at the super minions are knocking on the Nexus turrets right now. Copenhagen Wolves have to do something to get involved in this one. Deathmark on Airwalks, he's getting popped down. Kabashard coming up with a big one. Gambit, they want to end this game right here, right now.
And they will.
A double kill, he's going down. A triple kill, oh my goodness. Gambit Gaming, 33.5 minutes. They're looking to snap this win streak from the Copenhagen Wolves, and they have done it right about now. What a win.
What a game by Gambit, honestly. Tricky early game, and then turning on the power. Happy guys?
Absolutely. They've improved to 6-5 from an 0-5 record. 6 games in a row to Gambit now. As they walk across the stage. Cheer up from them, fans. They are very happy about that victory.
And I must admit, Kabashard is a top laner. He gets ganked early on twice. Yet Gambit then say, you know what, we can still go up and try and save it. Get 2 ganks, Betsy roaming first, then Diamond coming up after. Gets him really back in the game. And then he has that Hourglass and Abyssal Scepter completed for the first big dragon fight where he's the guy teleporting in. Gets a great ulti after Diamond's engage. And that was really the fight that snowballed it from Gambit where they got a few kills. They didn't get the dragon, but they got the kills they needed, got an item advantage, and that's what they used.
Yeah, you know, Kabashard only died those 2 times. The once in lane and once when he just kind of got popped by Airwalks. Look at that. Happy smiles. Leviathan.
Oh, so all the banter
he's
before.
really happy. Yeah, no, he wins the bragging
Dentist.
rights for today.
Oh, for sure. Well played.
Well deserved.
Mid to late game for Gambit. Great vision control. Pick the right fights every single time. And then we're still talking. We saw Copenhagen Wolves before hawking it out, saying, don't worry, guys. We are still a fantastic team. Yes, the winning streak has been broken.
Oh yeah, no
But
question.
not over yet.
I mean, they're at 6-5 right now themselves.